The MLB versus the NHL. One is a very American sport with lots of hot dogs in their marketing, and they attempt to fill the ballpark to create a romantic summer atmosphere of a sport. The other one is very Canadian, involves a lot of ice, a lot of being in cold rinks, and yet still is classed as one of the most popular, exciting and fast-paced sports on the planet. They both have a lot of history behind them, and I'm a big fan of both. However, I've had some people ask me lately on Twitter, do I prefer baseball now to hockey? So I thought we'd just talk about which league and which sport is better. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria and I talk about all things hockey and baseball from across the pond in Scotland. And for today's video, I'm talking about whether I prefer the NHL or the MLB, because it's a question that has been asked lately on my Twitter. Now, I have grown up being a hockey girl. I started going to hockey when I was 16, just the hockey over here in the UK, and I got really into it, and the NHL shortly followed. And since then, I've spent an awful lot of my spare time watching and making content about the NHL. So it's basically an integral part of my personality and something which I'm definitely associated with, and I love it. However, in the past sort of 2 years, I started getting really into baseball. The Leafs have always been my hockey team, so it made sense to be a Jays fan too. Started watching over here and got to go to 4 baseball games just there in May and June because I spent a few weeks in Canada. Back in November, I got to go to my first Leafs game, my first NHL game, and so now that I've experienced the two, I thought I would just share my thoughts on the differences between the two, what my thoughts are, what I prefer, etc. I also have like nothing planned out for this video, so this is just me talking, so I'm probably going to ramble a lot of nonsense, and I apologise in advance. So neither hockey or baseball are huge in the UK. There's definitely a growing fan base of both over here, and there are some amazing people on this side of the pond to do with baseball and hockey. But the reality is your exposure to those sports is pretty limited. However, hockey does have a benefit in this way because there is a professional league here in the UK, whereas there isn't really a professional baseball league. People play baseball over here, but it's not very well attended. It's not like a big thing over here in the slightest, whereas hockey has definitely grown over the years. So hockey has the advantage of internationally, over here anyway, it definitely is more known about and watched than baseball is. Hence probably why I got into hockey first. I'd also like to note that my experience is only in Toronto watching the MLB and the NHL. There's a plane, you can probably hear the plane. So unfortunately I don't have the benefit of being to multiple ballparks all across the States or to multiple NHL games all across Canada and the States. But I want to get there. I am on a mission in this lifetime to tick off every NHL and every MLB stadium because I adore both. But based on what I've seen so far, here are my thoughts. So in terms of the actual experience, I really liked both, and they are very much different in the way that they are. But there's something about baseball that's sitting in such a big ballpark with so many people. The atmosphere is really fun. Ballparks are just naturally a lot more fun than ice rinks, I would say. There's a lot going on. There's always tons of stuff to do. It feels very, very family friendly. It's very affordable to go to. I have sat down, I got amazing seats right down at the front, and I've also sat way up in the nosebleeds, and both were equally as fun, which I think is a really special part of baseball. Whereas I feel like hockey, you definitely get the much better view down nearer the ice, but in Scotiabank anyway, the best atmosphere is high up in the nosebleeds. Again, Leafs game, I have sat down sort of near ice level, and I've also sat up in the nosebleeds, but I found with the baseball it was equally fun no matter where you sat, whereas when I went to the hockey, you definitely, the experience of it, the atmosphere was better up high but the view was much better down low, whereas I feel like ballparks are just so beautiful that no matter where you sit, unless you've got like a pillar in front of you, which I know some ballparks sometimes have restricted view, it's just stunning and it's just as fun. In terms of the actual sport itself, I think I'm always going to love the really fast-paced, physical elements of hockey the most, But I also enjoy the really skill-based elements of baseball. I find watching them is a very different experience between each, because the hockey, I feel like you have to be watching every single second of, or you're going to miss something. Whereas the baseball, I feel like it's a little bit easier to just leisurely get up, go get some drinks, go get some food. Obviously there's screens all in the ballpark for you to keep up with. It's definitely more, it feels like more of a leisurely activity. I feel like my ideal weekend day would be like a Saturday where in the afternoon you go to the baseball and it's all leisurely, you get some drinks, you get some food, it's very nice, it's quite relaxing to go to. And then at night you go to a hockey game where it's more fast paced, you have to pay attention all the time. That to me is perfect. There's definitely a balance to be found when you enjoy both. I also want to touch on the marketing elements of the NHL versus the MLB, mainly because I work in marketing and I'm currently finishing my thesis, which involves NHL and MLB marketing. So this has basically been my entire brain in recent weeks. The MLB's marketing is definitely more effective than the NHL's, 100%. The MLB has an all-inclusive, family-friendly element that I think the NHL just sometimes lacks. The NHL needs to promote events better. There's definitely events throughout the year that go on in the NHL which nobody really seems to know about, whereas the MLB I find is a lot more effective at advertising stuff that's going on and keeping fans up to date. I also think this varies by team, because there's some NHL teams and some MLB teams which are better at engaging with fans and interacting with them than others. It's also personal taste, right? Like some people find Vegas Golden Knights Twitter kind of annoying. I actually really liked it. I thought it was fun. The same with the New Jersey Devils. Some people don't like their sometimes more casual way of interacting with fans, but I think it's really nice and it really humanises the sport. I love the Blue Jays on Twitter. I also love the Leafs on Twitter, but the Blue Jays are really good at replying to fans, which I really like. I just feel like the MLB has a degree of marketing that the NHL just misses out on. I mean, dollar hot dog nights. I'm going to do a whole separate video on just like marketing hot dogs in baseball, but it is the most effective marketing strategy that I think exists in sports. It is old, it's still going on, it seems to still break records like year after year. It starts new things. I know there was fans throwing like a hot dog Mexican wave. I can't remember what game it was at, but there's certain elements like that that I just think the NHL sometimes misses out on a little bit. In terms of fans, I am completely split on the fans. I think that baseball fans are amazing people, and I also think that hockey fans are generally amazing people. Again, it depends on the fan base. I'm someone who definitely likes to mingle in amongst different fan bases. I've got quite a lot of Yankees fans on Twitter and I absolutely love reading their stuff. And I know my audience on here is predominantly hockey fans, so if you're a hockey fan and you've never watched baseball before, I really advise you to give it a go. At first I was very confused, didn't have a clue what was going on, but the more that you get into it and the more that you learn the sport, you definitely enjoy it more. The statistics are quite complicated. The rules can seem complex when you've just started watching it, but there's lots of really good resources out there that can help you learn the sport a lot more, and there's lots of very good content creators who do a far better job than me at explaining just how the entire sport works. So to sum up, do I prefer the NHL or the MLB? Well, I love both, and one is going to be my winter sport and one is going to be my summer sport, and I absolutely adore both. I love the Leafs and the Jays, and I'm very grateful to have been to games to see both now. I'm very grateful for that, and I hope that I can start ticking off more ballparks and NHL stadiums very soon. I also did a little poll on Twitter to see basically which sport people would give up out of hockey and baseball. So I asked if you could only watch NHL games or MLB games and you had to give up the other forever, which one are you keeping? And right now anyway, 85% said they would definitely keep the NHL and the other 15% said MLB. And I think I probably have slightly more hockey fans than I do baseball fans, so that's maybe slightly skewed. But it seems people are more precious about their hockey than their baseball, which is surprising because there's so many more baseball games in a year, so you definitely get more you get more viewings of the team if you watch baseball rather than hockey. But there you go, that's what the Twitter consensus is. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening to my rambles on NHL versus MLB and what I prefer. I'm very happy to be back filming again. It had been like a few weeks and I really missed it, so this was just sort of to get my videos rolling again. which I'm very excited to just be back making content because I really missed it. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon with more hockey and baseball chats from across the pond. Bye guys.